I fell victim to BookTok this year, and it was both the best and the worst thing I've ever done. I'm gonna have some unpopular opinions here, just so you're aware. Happy New Year, bookworms. I got into booktube like this last year in 2023, and so this is like my first year wrap up. So I've been so excited about it. For me, I have never read this many books in 1 year. I read 37 books. And granted, I know there's a ton of people on YouTube, out on social media who read 100+ books, and that's amazing. I'm not that person. But 37? I'm proud of myself. Let's talk about all the books I read this year. There is a good mix. 2023 book recap. I'll give you like a star rating and then a little short review of all the ones I've read this year. We'll start at the beginning of the year and go to the latest. The first book I read this year was Legendary. It's the second book in the Caraval series. I actually really enjoyed this one. I did not like Caraval. There are some huge Caraval fans out there, so I'm sorry if you loved it. It was hyped up on BookTok. I was so excited. Ooh, carnival vibes. And then I was like, this is stupid. I loved the main character in this book. This main character is different than the one in the first book, Caraval. It's her sister Tella, and her perspective was way more entertaining, high stakes, and it had a romance I actually enjoyed. So, also introduced my favorite character, Jax. I love him, and I love him. Then I read Finale, which is the third book of Caraval. I enjoyed it. It was 3 out of 5 stars for me. It was like dual perspective. I loved one perspective, I didn't love the other. You can probably guess which one I didn't love. The major cons is that I just don't enjoy Scarlet. She's the main character in Caraval. I just can't get behind her romance. It just kind of like was meh to me. She was dumb. Sorry, I'll stop hating. And if I take too long on each of these, this is gonna be a long one. Okay, wait, this is so funny. Then I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. I fell victim to BookTok this year, and it was both the best and the worst thing I've ever done. The Summer I Turned Pretty was one of those worst things I've ever done. I started the TV series, okay? I literally had to know how it ended, so I read the entire series. The first one was actually pretty good because I thought it was just like very relatable, and it was just the surface level heartbreak that we experience when we are in high school, and I thought it was kind of sweet. It's like the development after that I just like couldn't get behind. So I read It's Not Summer Without You. That was 2 out of 5 stars, and I gave We'll Always Have Summer 1 star. Because what kind of soap opera was that? I'm not a fan of Jenny Han. And I'm sorry, I love that she portrays like half Asian people because I'm half Japanese, my mom's full Japanese, and I thought that was really cool. But I didn't like The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I didn't like To All the Boys I Loved Before. Also, The Summer I Turned Pretty, like what kind of title is that? Like nothing good comes from this. And also Belly does not turn into a better person to me. Then I read Kingdom of the Wicked. I only read the first one, couldn't get into the second one. I also hear a lot of people feel that same way, that the rest of the series is just like meh. It was definitely some good dark academia vibes, and I liked the magic portion of it. The romance was like pretty okay. It wasn't something I was obsessed with, especially since it just kind of developed at a pace maybe I didn't really want it to. The mystery aspect was cool. Kind of witchy, which was fun. Then I read Peta's Games, which is a fan fiction, and I read Throwing Sparks, which is also a fan fiction. Peta's Games is on Archive of Our Own, the entire Hunger Games book written in Peta's perspective by igsygrace. She did amazing. She literally full-length book, published it on AO3, and it's amazing. It's, oh, I can't tell you how amazing it is. Throwing Sparks, also just incredible. Like, thank you so much, fanfiction. Also, I love getting to know my boy Peta, because Hunger Games is one of those series that has like stayed in my heart forever and will never leave. It has been one of my favorite series for over a decade, and it paved a way for dystopian novels. Then I was like cross-reading, so I read Catching Fire. Catching Fire is my favorite in the Hunger Games trilogy. I just loved Peta and Katniss's relationship in that one, and also the Quarter Quell is the most intense thing to ever exist. Okay, I read Glass Sword, which is Red Queen #2. I actually, maybe unpopular opinion, as a whole series, Red Queen was extremely disappointing, and it kind of broke my heart. I can't even get myself to finish it. I'm on the 4th one, and I have been for months and months. This book was a perfect example of constant movement, but also like slow moving. And I really like that because there was a lot of inner dialogue, a lot of character development, and honestly, I'm a sucker for that. You know when you're extremely humbled in the reviews of other people? This was one of those books. They were like, oh my gosh, this was so boring, blah, 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 blah. I also love Maven with all my freaking heart. I think with the potential that I saw in this series, I gave this book a good 4 out of 5 stars because I was like excited and I was like, oh, this is just like getting ready to freaking blow our minds in the 3rd book, and guess what? It didn't. So I guess I would like rate that lower now, knowing that the potential wasn't actually used, but whatever. So as I talk about these books, you're gonna see things that pop up right here. Those are just like reviews and stuff linked related to what I'm talking about currently, so you can just click on it if you want to. No pressure. I read 1,000 Heartbeats, that was 3 out of 5 stars. I loved the first half so freaking much. I saw a lot of potential. It was really slow moving. It was Kiera Cass's like standalone that was like 500 pages. Overall, she just has like really cutesy writing and it like felt light, like a light read, even though it was kind of a longer book. The second half, I think the romance developed a little quickly. I still like enjoyed myself. BookTok. I read The Cruel Prince. I really wanted to give it like 5 stars because I was so excited to read it because everyone raves about Carden. Oh my gosh, dude is the most, I cannot stand that woman and let's call her a little girl because that's how she acts half the time. And when I actually finish the series, I'm gonna talk about how much it frustrates me. I'm gonna have some unpopular opinions here just so you're aware. Why are we in middle school, Jude? Oh, that's right, you're not, but why are you acting like you are? That's all I'll say there. Okay, then I read a book called A Game of Hearts by Joanna Barker. If you're a sucker for clean romance like I am, this is a Regency romance set in, you know, 1800s period time. It's about this girl who starts her own women archery club. She goes against a boy archer and they kind of compete against each other and there may be something there. It was really good. I gave that book 5 out of 5 stars. I just could not get myself to put it down. I loved it. It was just written very well. I read The Awakening, the first book of the Vampire Diaries. You can watch the recap right there. Oh my gosh, that book is crazy. Literally whiplash in a book. I gave that 2 out of 5 stars. And honestly, I would have given it 1 out of 5 stars because it was like kind of terribly written and had an awful plot. But it paved a way for like supernatural and I thought that was kind of cool. And also, I love the Vampire Diaries TV show so much. I worship Damon and Elena with my whole heart. I could literally talk about them for hours. Someone recommended this to me in my YouTube comments and they said, you should read You've Reached Sam. Oh my gosh, like I don't read very many modern set time books. So this was very like refreshing to have a contemporary read that wasn't cringy. I'd recommend it to anyone who just recently lost someone. It's about this girl who lost her boyfriend. Then she calls his voicemail to hear his voice and he answers. I actually cried. I loved seeing development there and about grief and loss and about how to let yourself grieve but also how to move on from it. It was really easy to read. I really enjoyed it and it's his debut novel. I read Seeking Persephone. It's a proper romance, so Regency romance. It's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but obviously not fantasy. So this girl, because she has no money, she goes off to an arranged marriage with this kind of sour guy in a mansion and they get married and she doesn't know who he is or what he looks like, but he always like hides one side of his face and it's because he has a really bad scar. And so it's about their story and it was actually really cute, 4 out of 5 stars. I read When Breath Becomes Air. That book was so refreshing because I don't typically read nonfiction books. I really should because they are very good for you. This is a one-of-a-kind of experience of a doctor who gets cancer. You know, he has spent so long helping cancerous patients, been so busy, doesn't have time for his family, gets the news that he has cancer, starts to discover the true meaning of life, and I'd recommend it for anyone. Then I read my first manga ever. I read My Hero Academia. I decided to start on that one because I haven't watched the anime yet, so I thought I'd read it before I started the anime. It was so funny. Manga's hilarious, hello? I was like laughing out loud and I'm excited to read more of it. I haven't read any more of the series and I'm excited to read other manga. I have gotten into webtoon and it is an addiction at this point, so I definitely will get back into manga. I wish webtoon counted as books because y'all, I would be slaying. I read a book called Courting Miss Lancaster. It's a proper romance. It's about this girl who this guy gets an assignment to like have her court someone who's worthy of her attention, and he kind of falls in love with her. It's kind of a sweet read, very short. Okay, then I read King's Cage, Red Queen #3. The bathtub scene. I'm reading my notes and that's like all I put. I said the bathtub scene. P.S. Still think Cal's a bit. That one was definitely where I started to sense my disappointment in the series. I read a book called Romancing Daphne, which is about this, it's another Regency romance. It's about this girl who is very shy, has kind of been told her whole life that she's not very pretty. And then this guy is told by his father to pursue her because she has money. So he starts to pursue her because of his dad, but then he starts to kind of fall in love with her. It was very sweet. Daughter of a Pirate King. I have been wanting to read this book for so long, and honestly, like, I was a little disappointed because it had been advertised as like a female Jack Sparrow, and it's amazing. No, she's not Jack Sparrow at all. Anyone who creates anything with pirates thinks they can throw out the Pirates of the Caribbean card, but no. I have like no desire to finish the series. I think it just finished this year actually. It was pretty good. It was like a really quick, easy read, and she was a really spunky character. The romance was okay. Then I read The Wicked King. I didn't write anything about it. Oh, The Wicked King. I was just, when certain things happen, I was like, oh. I just like want to talk to Holly Black myself and be like, why? People are so obsessed with Cardan and Jude. I have no problem with Cardan. It's just like, I can't give away anything. Let's just say a certain someone's like, I have power now, and is like acting with all this authority. And I'm like, just leave, go away. Why do you feel like you have all this authority? You're so frustrating. I can't stand her. Then I read A Kiss of a Stranger. It's a proper romance. It's about this guy who is pursued by a lot of women because he's very handsome. Because he's trying to make a statement that he doesn't want to be pursued, he kisses this random girl to pose as his, like, pretend he's courting her. Then he has to marry her out of convenience because you can't just kiss people in Regency time period. I read Friends and Foes, another proper romance. It's about this woman who has a limp, and it's about this guy who initially misunderstands why she's using a cane. And so they kind of have this terrible meet cute, which is obviously not cute. And then they start to fall in love. And there's some like guns and mystery involved. Okay, I read an Etsy for beginners. That was actually very good. It taught me a lot about Etsy. Hunter and I started an embroidery business this year, or in 2023. And so we make some embroidered shirts and sweatshirts. I have some embroidery machines next to me. I'm hoping to make some like bookish shirts, maybe that you guys can buy. They'd be cute. I love to read, or books, I don't know. You can give me ideas. Okay, then I read Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I am blown away. That man can freaking write. Wow. I'm at a loss for words. I'm so excited to dive more into his books. There's like a little bit of romance and it just made me so giddy, but mostly it just has incredible world building and it's very satisfying because we have an amazing character. Oh, I guess I should talk about it. Basically, these people go through a sheod, which is where they're cursed and then cast out to a certain city. So it's about like politics between this city of Elantrians. It was so good. I fell in love with our main character. I read A River Enchanted. This is like clanny, poetic, kind of cozy. It's about this guy who goes back to his hometown to play the harp because he has a magical harp, to talk to the spirits because little lady lads have gone missing in his hometown. It was pretty good. I obviously was interested in it. Once Upon a Broken Heart, I reread this one. I love this. Okay, I loved this series so much. It was my favorite until the third one came out. As you know, I have a really hard time with that one. Once Upon a Broken Heart, it's a BookTok book. This book was very intriguing right off the bat. I loved rereading it. I like couldn't remember a lot of things, so that was amazing. Then reading the second one, I wanted to cry. That one's just so amazing. Honestly, I'd still recommend this series for anyone who loves fantasy romance because the second one is literally top tier and makes you want to cry. And then I read A Curse for True Love, which is the third one in the series, and I did want to cry because I was severely disappointed. I still love our main characters. I still love the romance. So I read Harry Potter for the first time in my life. I have never read Harry Potter and I claim to love reading. Who am I? That book is amazing. It is so creatively written because it's just, you can relate to this 12-year-old, 11-year-old boy, and you can just feel for him because he is finally understanding family and he's understanding love, and but he has it already in his heart, but now he gets to feel it. It feels like I'm a child coming home when I would read this book. Pure genius, creativity. I read Divine Rivals. That was an amazing book. I loved the first half, 5 out of 5 stars. The first half, 3 out of 5 stars the last half, so it like equaled out to 4 stars. Beautifully written, poetic. You can cry some more, and the romance is just to die for. Then I read Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I loved the second one even more than the first, just because we get to know the characters more, and I love how Harry's more familiar with wizarding, and that one just has a lot of fun and heartfelt moments. I read Pride and Prejudice because after all this Regency talk, I can't believe I'd never read that before. I have probably listened to that soundtrack ever since I was in 8th grade. My English teacher was like, you should listen to Pride and Prejudice music. It's like my favorite soundtrack, because I told her I loved movie soundtracks. And then I started listening to it and I was obsessed. And then I hadn't watched the movie until I was in high school and I was like, I am still obsessed. I don't know why I waited that long. I love Pride and Prejudice so much because it changed the way that women looked at romance, the way they looked at marriage, because this is kind of the first time that we get to see a woman choose who she loves. Kind of one of the first novels written about love. Although there is a lot of dynamic with the family, even if you're not a huge romantic, it's just amazing. I read Mockingjay, Hunger Games #3. I honestly love this book. I know that a lot of people were a little bit disappointed in this book because it was kind of different feel than the other two, but I think it was very realistic and there was a lot of sadness in it because it's the Hunger Games, it's Panem. Suzanne Collins couldn't have made it daisies and dandelions. It had to have some loss, it had to have some trial. Honestly, yeah, seeing them just, record videos and make propaganda maybe isn't the most interesting thing, but it's very realistic. And I love the dynamic of Peeta and Candace's relationship. Are you kidding? Hijacking? Rebuilding their relationship? It's so good. Also, I cried at the end. The last book I read of the year was The Kiss of Deception. Dance of Thieves is set in the same world, I believe, and someone was like, oh, you should read the Remnant Chronicles first. Also, I've heard amazing things about the Remnant Chronicles. It's been on my to-read list for years. I was so confused. First of all, there's 3 perspectives. They call the assassin and the prince. There's 2 names too also, so you had to think about who is the assassin, who's the prince, and I was just like, I actually really liked it. I really enjoyed the first half probably the most because I love tavern maids and I just liked how she's ooh, 2 attractive gentlemen coming in, but think nothing of it. And then of course they are there for something. And I like that. That was my year of reading. Guys, you can always give me recommendations in the comments. I literally read them. For those of you who care, I have a new filming station, a new book corner because we moved across the state. Now I have a separate room. It's not in our bedroom. Look how cute it is. Also, there's this super comfy couch. I love it. I haven't really sat in it at all. I think you guys will be excited. I'm reading a lot of good books right now. I'm reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I thought I would literally never read, but hello, I'm actually liking it, which is a shocker to me. We'll definitely have to discuss that. I just started an Instagram and I have a TikTok and I have Goodreads if you just want to follow updates on any of those platforms. Please subscribe, please like this video because it helps a lot. Because I do this out of the funness of my heart. I just want to have fun. But also, it would be so fun if I got money for it. Oh wait, that sounded so bratty, but I'm not even kidding. I'm a poor college student. Even 10 cents a day could get me a book in a month. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, but it's okay. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful year, and I can't wait to see all we accomplish.